Good morning, and welcome to Friday with the Rev. I'm Greg Johnson. I'm the president and CEO of GJP International, and I want to thank you for being with us this morning. This broadcast, it's May 31st, here in New York City, and this will be our final broadcast for this first season. And that just seems overwhelming, amazing, and I feel such abundant thanks to each and every one of you. This series began last year, or began as the result of last year's trip to Indonesia. And I shall be leaving in a few weeks to return to my home in Bali. While we were there, I had the privilege of meeting with so many of you who are doing family caregiving work in so many diverse parts of the world, certainly in Asia, in South Africa, in Europe, and here in America. And many of you asked, how could we have an opportunity of continuing the conversation and the dialogue? And frankly, I must thank Ado, my wonderful right hand in Bali, for it was he who came up with the idea of using Facebook Live. And so Friday with the Rev has become a series for this year. I've enjoyed each conversation, and I've been very grateful to each of you for the emails and for the letters, for the comments, the messages that you've sent asking questions, as well as telling me stories of the wonderful, wonderful things that you are doing in family caregiving presently, or that your journey has been in the past. So I like to, as it were, end where I began, because wherever I go to speak, the first words I say are very simply, I have come to say the two words that family caregivers rarely, if ever, hear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In whatever language it might be, family caregivers are the backbone of the world's healthcare systems. And for too long, they have been the silent patients. And that was my mandate nearly 20 years ago when Emblem Health, a major health corporation, health and wellness corporation here in New York City, came to me and invited me to create a program that would bring attention. And we wanted to do awareness, acceptance, and action. Awareness, acceptance, and action. And that has been our mantra and our goal from the very beginning. So I will soon be coming to Bali, and many of you are going to be joining us there, and we will continue in person our conversations. I'm thrilled to share with you also that a wonderful group of women, they have a wonderful name, WOW, Women on the World Stage. And they're under the leadership of the very brilliant Ambassador Sujay. That's the Reverend Dr. Susan Johnson Cook. Many of you know Sujay. And they are going to be coming and spending some time at the end of July, going into August, as we share the wonders of Indonesia and talk about our ministries, which are vast and varied, but which all include caring for the family caregiver. So I look forward to, as it were, doing the welcome dance for them. And I know many of you are looking forward to meeting them. And if you would like to be part of that, keep me posted. Now, I want to share with you that my contacts are going to be changing. As you can tell, I'm wearing a beautiful, beautiful, and treasured new stole. It was a gift to me from the Marble Collegiate Church. Last Sunday was my final Sunday as a member of the staff full-time and the person doing the prayer circle. It's been my privilege and honor to serve with this incredible group of people. And actually, I've had a relationship with Marble since the early 1970s. Now, that's probably before some of you were born. But I have loved my time there, and it's not a farewell by any means, for I remain a member there. But my work in family caregiving is requiring that I have a bit more freedom on the weekends. abundance. And so as a parting gift, as a commissioning gift into one ministry continuing with another one, I was presented with this gorgeous, gorgeous handmade stole. I want you to see it. It's certainly a proper stole for for the Pride Month, and this is World Pride. It's the 50th anniversary, beginning month tomorrow. But it's also all the colors of the rainbow. And in our world, everyone is welcome, for we are all brothers and sisters, children of the divine. So for contact, I would urge you to do this, to use Facebook and messenger me directly. That's probably the easiest way. Until I return in fall, I am going to have an email that will be easier to say. My present personal email is a bit complicated, so I didn't want to attempt to say it or to put up a sign. In the meantime, I don't leave until the 15th of June. So between now and then, if you'd like to be in touch with me, it's gjohnson@emblemhealth.com. And in the meantime, I also urge you to spend some time reviewing some of the programs that we've had in the past. As you know, fortunately, we have a wonderful producer who has created a YouTube channel for us. So all that you need to do is go to YouTube, and the channel, very much like this program, is entitled Family Caregiving with the Rev. Family Caregiving with the Rev. And on it are not only programs from Friday with the Rev, but there are also other talks that I have given, programs that I have done with and for Emblem Health, and they provide wonderful means for you to take these. Many of them are quite short, to play them with a group of people or an individual, and then use it as the jumping off point for a conversation with that person. Now, my heart is very filled. It overflows with abundant love and joy. And so I wanted this morning to use as our theme for this final broadcast of this first season the topic of infinite abundance. And when I talk of that, I'm not talking about finances. That is such a small part of the gift of true abundant living. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But please join me. This is a mantra that has been given to me by Reverend Marian Gambardella, and I love it very much. Infinite abundance prayer. So please join me. Take a moment. Let's get comfortable. Let's breathe in that holy breath of life, the holy breath of God, the Ruach Elohim, which gave us life and continues to abundantly bless us with life. And so we pray. I dwell in the midst of infinite abundance. The abundance of God is my infinite source. The river of life never stops flowing. It flows through me into lavish expression. Good comes to me through unexpected avenues. God works in myriad ways to bless me. I now open my mind to receive my good. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to happen. With God as my source, nothing amazes me. I give freely and fearlessly into life, and life gives back to me with fabulous increase. Blessings come in expected and unexpected ways. God provides for me in wondrous ways. I am indeed grateful, and it is so. Amen and amen. That is a very precious prayer and one that I use very frequently. In caregiving, we often talk about the burdens, we talk about the difficulties, we talk about caregiving physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But at times we forget to talk about the gifts that are ours from family caregiving. Each of us often gets into the world of family caregiving very unexpectedly. Someone wakes up and finds out that a person with whom they slept, with whom is in their household, has had a significant life challenge. And suddenly we are thrust into that role. A telephone call from a long distance, the many, many faces of family caregiving. And yet, we become abundantly blessed through this experience. There's also a reading that I want to do, and then I shall continue with that thought. This is from another source that I read each morning, and I loved this title, and so I'm going to read just a small portion of this meditation, but I think it truly meets each of us where we often are in our journeys, in our lives, in looking at where we are going, where we've been, in taking time to be still. This, I think, is a very key thing to remember. Every person fulfills their purpose when the time is right. Since human timetables quite often do not correspond with universal timetables, it's common for people to feel that life is progressing too slowly or too quickly. We draft carefully composed plans, only to find that they fall into place when we least expect. Or conversely, we are thrust into roles we believe we are not prepared for, and wonder how we will survive the demands imposed upon us by unfamiliar circumstances. Caregiving. When delays in our progress kindle pangs of disappointment within us, or the pace of life seems overwhelming, peace can be found in the simple fact that we are exactly where we need to be at this moment. Every person fulfills their purpose when the time is right. That was my story. I knew I was called to ministry, and yet there were many challenges that prevented my concept of ministry from materializing until nearly into my 50s, when I actually joined the staff at the Marble Collegiate Church. Prior to that, I was in business in Asia, and I couldn't understand how did that happen. It was wonderful. I loved every minute of it, but it seemed strange. And then the strokes came. What was this about? And by that time, ordination was possible. But in truth, my ministry was waiting for me in the middle of a health insurance company in New York City. And to my dying day, I will be grateful to the Reverend Dr. Carl Flemister from HIP Health Plan. That's what it was called then. It's now the wonderful Emblem Health. It was he who invited me to create care for the family caregiver. But God wasn't finished. Yes, I became part of Marble. I was privileged to do and to love every moment of our prayer circle, our pastoral counseling. But what about that Asia piece? Well, this broadcast is part of that ministry because we met and we came together to share the world of family caregiving. Each of us with our own journey. Mine certainly with my son and with my late husband, Joe. Those were without question two of the most significant caregiving experiences in my life, but there were many others. And we have been united in this love and this caring. And when we reflect, we look at God's great abundance. Had we known what we were about to do or be called upon to do, I know I would have said, oh, I can't possibly do that. Perhaps you can think of somebody else. But no, God was calling you and calling me to this task. And his grace was sufficient and continues to be sufficient. Yesterday, in preparing to leave for Asia, I went to the bank and was talking to a new banker, a lovely young man. We didn't know one another, and so he asked what I did, and I talked about family caregiving. That's all I needed to say. And suddenly I heard the greatest testimony. He's a young man, perhaps in his 30s, who has one of 5 children, but he is the one living in New York, and his mother has taken seriously ill. And he said to me, you know, Greg, I can't believe what I've been able to do. Now, he's a man of faith, and so he said, I'm so grateful to God because I've been able to do so much more. I've been able to use my skills in business, in talking to the doctors, in organizing charts, in figuring out how to deal with each and every person, with the healthcare system. I had no idea I could do that. And so he continues with great joy and with great gratitude for being able to be in the place that he is, doing what he's doing for his mother. And as we talked, I also mentioned the fact that one of the great gifts of family caregiving is as I'm caring for you, in truth, I'm caring for myself. And what do I mean by that? We always talk of that as being the first rule, and it is. But when I'm caring for you, I'm learning the healthcare system. I'm learning the terminology of healthcare, of disease, of recovery, of healing, of curing. I'm learning about body, mind, and spirit. I'm learning about resources. I'm learning about the government and the resources that are there. I'm learning about growing into aging. And I'm also learning that with family caregiving, and I say this so often, you can't pay it away, pray it away, or prescribe it away. You need all three. But ultimately, you've got to go through it, and it's my prayer for you and for myself and for every person in the world that we may grow through the going through. And how do we do that? With the help of the divine. God within us, leading us, strengthening us, and in this journey, that bond becomes even stronger. Now, this morning, I'm going to conclude our broadcast with a reading from my 24-hour book. Many of you know it, those of you who are in the AA program. It's a wonderful source that's wonderfully inclusive, but this meditation for May 31st just jumped out at me and said, this is where you will leave everyone until I see you again in September. So listen with me. Prayer is of many kinds, but whatever kind, prayer is the linking up of the soul and mind to God. So if prayer is only a glance of faith, a look or a word of love, or just a feeling of confidence in the goodness and purpose in the universe, still the result of that prayer is added strength to meet all and to overcome. Even if no supplication is expressed, all the supply of strength that is necessary is secured, because the soul, being linked and united to God, as you understand that word, receives from him, from her, all spiritual help needed. The soul, when in its human body, still needs the things belonging to its heavenly habitation. May God bless you. Thank you for an incredibly wonderful experience. I had no idea that I could do this. You had faith, and God gave me the strength, the wisdom, and I pray the words. May God bless you. May you have a wonderful summer. And to quote the song, I'll see you in September, Friday with the Rev. God bless and a happy summer.